For the Elements of Art poster, you're going to need to divide your paper into 8 sections. Start by dividing it across vertically and horizontally. You should have 4 sections on your paper. Next, go from the center to all 4 corners with the ruler. As you can see, I'm doing here, to create 8 equal sections. In the upper left-hand section, label it Elements of Art. Try to use block letters or bubble letters if you can. There are 7 elements of art that we are going to cover in this poster. The first one is line. So to the right of the Elements of Art, put line, then down from that and clockwise, value, color, space, shape, texture, and form. Next, go over your letters that you just wrote with Sharpie or marker so that they stand out a little bit more. So the first element of our line is going to look similar to a Zentangle. When you're creating different kinds of lines in this section, think thin, thick, wavy, curvilinear, straight, dashed, dotted, hatched, crosshatch, stipple. Any kind of line that you can imagine, go ahead and illustrate it in this section. Next, for value, you're going to practice gradation. Gradation is the shift in value. Value is the lightness or the darkness of objects. And gradation is the shift in value, going from dark to light. You can do this by pushing down hard with your pressure of your pencil and lifting up as you move across the shapes. You might want to break up the space of this section into a few smaller shapes, which will make it easier for you to grade. Go back in and refine and use your finger to smudge, and really make sure you're trying to get a smooth transition from dark to light. Next, let's skip over to space. First, start by drawing a horizon line and then a mountain range. Then draw in a vanishing point in the center of the horizon, and then converge 2 lines to that point to create what appears to be a railroad track or a road. Notice how the lines get smaller as they move back into space. Next, we're going to draw telephone poles, and these need to be vertical, straight up and down, and these also get smaller as they go back into space. This is called linear perspective, using 1 point. We're going to talk about this more in future assignments. Next, we're going to draw a structure to the right of the railroad track. Start by drawing a square or a rectangle, and then converge some lines from the corners of that square or rectangle to the vanishing point, and then draw in the side of your building. Then you can draw in a rooftop and erase your extra lines, and then draw an opening or a doorway. Next, we're going to draw some shapes, another element of art. Everything in our environment can be broken down into simple shapes. Shapes can be geometric, angular, or organic. Next, we're going to try to illustrate texture. So go ahead and break up your space into 4 sections, and then we're going to start by trying to show an illusion of something woven. So I've drawn some vertical lines, and then I'm going back in and drawing horizontal lines. It almost looks like a brick wall to start out. Then I'm going into every other square shape and adding in some lines and a little bit of value in an attempt to try to make this pattern look woven or textured. Next, we're going to draw some shapes that look like they could be water or blood or slime or whatever you think, depending on the lightness or the darkness that we shade it. So I just drew the outline and I'm shading and I'm adding some shadow underneath, smudging it around, and I'm also drawing in some highlights. Makes it look wet or shiny. Next, we're going to draw some bubbles. Start with circles, give them some highlights, and then draw some pops to draw some lines to make it look like a pop. Okay, next we're going to try to show a sense of fur or sand or grit or grass. It's however you want to interpret it. By just drawing some hatch marks and some stipples, some dots, we create that other texture. Next, we're moving into form. Form is 3-dimensional objects. So you start by drawing forms by drawing simple shapes. How we make objects look 3-dimensional is by adding value. So I'm turning a circle into a sphere by grading it, adding a shadow, a middle value, erasing a highlight, and then shading in a cast shadow opposite side of the highlight and smudging it out. Next, we're going to make this organic round form appear to be 3-dimensional by adding some shadows and highlights. Alright, and then next we're moving on to this teardrop or dewdrop or gumdrop shape. And again, we're doing gradation, going from dark to light, adding value and highlights to make it appear 3-dimensional. Doing the same with this cone shape. Smudging it around with your finger, erasing some highlights, cleaning up your edges. Turn this rectangle into a cube by adding the sides and the top, and again adding some more value. And lastly, we're going to create a cylinder, make it look more like a can. Next, we're going to go over into color, and you can color this section however you'd like, working with colored pencils. Continue to practice gradation, break up the space however you'd like, and consider overlapping and blending colors together to make other colors. Also, let's go in and add some color to our shapes and into our space, our landscape that we sketched out. Remember, the elements of art are going to be coming up a lot throughout the year, and this poster is going to help you remember the elements as you work on your own artwork and you talk about other works of art.